Morning, Janice.
Thing.
Today we're going to talk about how to make fewer decisions. So, how many decisions do you make every day? You probably make a lot more than you think, and the average is actually 300 plus decisions per day, right?
Wow.
So most of us are making way too many decisions each and every day, and that actually scientifically makes us dumber. Let's deal with this.
Okay, so today we're going to talk about why to make fewer decisions and then only to make decisions that actually matter.
And we'll also go into some routines and how to automate and heuristics. These are techniques to help reduce the decisions. And we'll also talk about how to make some of the most important decisions. And lastly, I will go into how decision making will be affected by some of the tech and the future. So make sure you stay tuned for that.
Interesting. So don't forget to join our email list at anthonyspark.com/join to learn about Anthony's new and upcoming books.
Cool. Let's get started. Okay. So number one, why should we make fewer decisions? So there's the term that's kind of hot lately is decision fatigue. So basically, research shows that the more decisions you make in a short period of time, the more each decision decreases in quality. So if you're making rapid fire decisions, there's sort of a mental wear and tear going on. So with each subsequent decision, you're just not as sharp, you're just not as clear headed, and you're going to make sort of exhaust. Have you ever been shopping, for example, and at the end of the day, when you're just totally spent, you're like buying all the nonsense or deciding not to buy something you might need? You're just making poor decisions.
Because you're like, sure, whatever, I'm done, just do it. Yes. Yep.
So actually, a study has showed that parole judges are more likely to stick with the status quo, which is kind of the equivalent of not making a decision and therefore denying parole to a inmate later in the day after they've already been hearing or sitting for many cases. This is peer reviewed and controlled study. So the decision fatigue can leave a person. So taking it back to the sort of more of a real world. I mean, not that parole isn't real world, but more the real world. Yeah, okay. Decision fatigue can leave a person vulnerable to sales and marketing strategies designed to time the sale. So this can result in things like really sort of bombarding you with messages so that by the time it's time to make a purchasing decision, you're so tired, you're just going to say a yes. And the clearest example of that, the everyday example of that, is the impulse buys at the checkout line, right? So
that's why they're there, right? That aisle you go through with those last minute decisions of, okay, I'll just buy it. Yes.
Another example is at the end of the car buying process, you've negotiated every term, you've picked colors, you've picked options, you're just exhausted from all the decisions you've been making, and that's when they hit you with the do you want the rust proofing undercoating, which is, I mean, I think most people know, worthless even in snowy areas.
Right.
Wait, Janice, do you have rust coating underproofing?
Well, no. So, but I was in this position when I bought the car, and I know it's coming. Every time. The car buying is exhausting. So you do it, you get there, you're at the end, and you're like, I'm done. Just give me the keys and get me out of here. And then they do start there's 15 things. We could do your tires. We could do this. And I'm learning to say, okay, just no, I don't want any of it. But yes, you do feel beat down at that point. You just want to say, just fine, get me out of here. Yep.
So
completely.
My point is, so the point is, it's very scientific. There's technique involved in this. They're not just throwing poop on the wall, as they say. They know that you're fatigued, and they're trying to get these yeses. So
yeah, and you know what? It works because I've done it. Sure, I'll get the oil change plan that I never needed, but you know what? It worked. I was tired. So maybe flip this and make decisions that actually matter. Man, do I get this subject about everything? I'm a full-time mom and a full-time worker. I mean, I get this, the decisions, and I actually think it's more like 1,000 decisions a day if you were to break it down. So just start making decisions that actually matter. Successful people, they eliminate these trivial decisions. For example, have you ever sat down on Amazon and researched a toaster or a vacuum or something else, and you spent an hour by the time you get sucked into it, looking at reviews and things like that? How much time is gone? And your decision making is in your brain is so maybe spend less time on those decisions and more time on doing the same research to find a realtor or a mortgage, right? So those decisions are bigger and they probably deserve a little bit more of your time. And instead, for those little things, the toaster, the vacuum, set aside some time in the day to sit down and do those decisions. Say, okay, I'm going to give a half hour before the football game and I'm going to sit down and I'll figure out the toaster then. Not so important. And it's not taking up all your time. So you haven't just researched a toaster for 2 hours. So now you got to figure out a mortgage. Not going to happen, right?
Yeah, so the most famous example, I think, of successful people eliminating trivial decisions is Steve Jobs. I don't know if you're familiar with his uniform, the black turtleneck and denim jeans. Just eliminating the time or energy spent in the morning deciding what to wear. Former President Obama did the same, I believe, with the gray suit and navy suit. He had two suits or two color suits. I'm sure he had more than two. And that was, there was no decision making. He was saving his mental capital for other more important decisions, thankfully, because, he was our president.
Right. And it makes so much sense. I mean, how much time do you in the morning? I mean, you're not a woman, but we spend a lot of time. Wear this. It would be really nice if it was just sitting out waiting for you. And that's one less big decision of the day. Probably feel better for the rest of your decisions.
Okay, so how do you take this knowledge and make your life better? Try installing some routines, some automation, some heuristics. So, as an example, here are some routines that you do already. You might not even realize or maybe take it for granted. So, number one, hey Janice, are you hearing that? There's like a jet flying over me.
Too bad. No. What are you in New York or something?
Yeah, this mic is great. It's not picking up what sounds like an F-16 right over me.
No, not that bad.
Very good. Okay, so some routines that you already do that you may take for granted. Number one, just washing up and brushing your teeth. Do you think every day about what motion you're going to use to wash your face or how many times you're going to brush your teeth? It's automatic. You have these habits already built in. Your commute, you probably have the same route that you drive or the same series of trains or buses that you take. You don't really think about it. It's automated. And this is a guy thing because girls I know get their haircuts less frequently. But we get our haircuts for me, like 3 weeks or so, and it's just sort of routine. You don't think about it, and you just do it, right?
You feel like a standing appointment? Does that make it one less thing to think about?
Yeah, actually, I think my place texts me and just has it set up, and then I just have to confirm. Yeah, so that's good.
But that's a great idea. That's one less thing that you have to decide at the beginning of the week. It's haircut day. It's automated, and it just kind of happens. I think that's a great idea.
So one tip I've seen a lot out there is to automate your wake up time. This has not been a problem for me, but I'm just throwing it out there because it seems like it's a problem for a lot of people. Apparently, deciding whether or not to get up is a big problem for people.
Really?
Like, the alarm will go off at, let's say, 7 o'clock, and they have to sit and decide. This is like the first decision of the day. Should I get up or snooze it for 10 more minutes? So apparently, this is like a major problem. I don't experience this. So the suggestion is just set a wake-up time and stick to it, and don't start off the day wasting your mental energy on one kind of silly decision.
Right. Just get out of bed. You're going to have to get out of bed. Just do it. Get out of bed. Oh, that does.
Just running down the list quickly. We already talked about clothes with Steve Jobs and Obama, President Obama. Just automate some of that clothes. I know it's easier for guys, but I'm sure our female listeners can find ways to sort of automate their cycle at least. I know you guys have like a rotation of outfits.
Yeah.
I don't know.
Yes.
Okay.
But you're right. You're absolutely right. If we even pick them the night before, it's one less decision. Right. Completely agree with you.
Food. As a mom and as somebody who helps with the household, I think we both appreciate this. There are certain staple items you're going to buy every single week. So why not automate them and have those on Instacart or Peapod or one of those automatic delivery services? Milk, eggs, bread, whatever you get all the time. Don't even think about it. The only time you should be going and making decisions at the supermarket is for, do I want meat this week or, steak because it's on sale? Not the staples that you're going to get every single time, just automate it. Same with dinner plans. I know as, both of us with parents with younger kids, what's for dinner is kind of a pain in the butt question. So there's ways to automate that. I mean, I know it kind of takes some of the flavor out of life, but having Taco Tuesday or Pizza Friday, some kind of automation can really make life a lot less like, oh my goodness, what's for dinner tonight kind of struggle.
Having a Pizza Friday is better because if you don't have it planned, you're going to have pizza every other day of the week because you're not ready. I mean, we are very guilty of that. Okay, it's Pizza Wednesday because I don't have a plan.
Two more really important areas. I guess I should have started with these are exercise. Just make it a habit, not something that you have to decide every time. Because if you have to decide to exercise, guess what? You're not exercising. So you need to make it something that's automatic. You wake up, you're going to go there, or on your way home, you're going to go to the gym, whatever. Make it real automatic. You're not deciding. It's happening. Same with savings. Make it a direct deposit. Do it a 401k. Make your IRA automated because otherwise, you know what? That money's not going to end up in your IRA. Just make it real.
You're not going to do it. Right.
Yeah. Make it real easy for yourself there.
So how to make important decisions. We talked about this a little bit earlier in the day. I don't know about you, but I'm a little more on my game earlier in the day than I am way in the evening. So make the bigger decisions maybe in the morning as compared to later in the day. Now, if it's too late in the day, you may want to think about waiting and sleeping on it till the next day. Maybe you have a really big email. Start it, draft it, leave it, wait, and then think about it the next morning.
On that email note, how many times have you written, not you personally, but have you written kind of a nasty email and then hit send and wished you hadn't? Just put it into drafts and take a look at it in the morning, and you might have a different perspective.
Yeah, absolutely. I agree with you. I might have done that once or twice, but yes, wait. And you know what? Another thing is, wait until you eat, right? I will admit, I get hangry. If I don't eat, just stay away. My decisions after I eat are way better than before I'm really hungry, and I probably would be a little more terse in my email or my decisions before I ate. So eat, and then also eat good food, probably not junk food. You don't want to grab a candy bar, although that's really amazing. Eat something good, and your decisions will be a little bit better.
I think there's some science behind that, but we haven't pulled that up yet. Yeah.
We'll figure it out, but there definitely is. And you can just tell I feel better when I make the decisions after eating. So, Anthony, you talked about earlier making like an automated decisions disappearing in the future. Tell us about that a little bit.
So it's happening already, and we may or may not realize it. So, for example, watching TV, consuming TV or your entertainment. It used to be you would, not so long ago, you would be flipping through channels endlessly trying to find something to watch. But nowadays, whether it's Netflix or YouTube, they have really good algorithms, and basically they're, invading our privacy to kind of know us better than we know ourselves. And they will tee up or queue up what you want to watch next, even if you didn't realize it. And it's kind of just that decision is made for you. So for better or for worse, couch potatoing is, what it is, but they're automating it for you. Shopping as well. So Amazon is really good at guessing or algorithmically calculating what you think you should buy next. If you bought a bunch of toys, this is a very simple example, but guess what? You need batteries, right? So they're going to queue that right up, and you don't have to think about it. So obviously it's in their interest to sell you more, but it does make our lives easier, so there is a pro-con to it.
Yeah.
And lastly, and this one is huge for me, thank you, Mr. Elon Musk, for the very, I think, short time horizon before we have self-driving cars, because if you think about it, the act of driving is probably thousands of micro decisions per minute. Checking your sides, making sure, checking the lights, remembering the directions, keeping staying within the lane. I mean, this sounds easy and you're like, oh, that's automatic, but why do you think you're tired after you drive on a long road trip?
Yeah. Yes, right? I agree with you. You get off the road trip and you're tired because you've just made millions of decisions.
Millions. Yep. I mean, that's why it's so hard for an AI to get there. If it was easy, then we could probably have robots doing it right now. But that being said, we're getting there. I'm so thankful I'm so thankful to Tesla, to Elon Musk, whoever else is working on it, because I just feel like it's such a waste of our decision-making power to drive, essentially.
Completely agree with you. Yes. So I think that's it. Love the topic. It's great, especially, all of us with kids and everything else. I mean, how many decisions do we make a day? So really great. Don't forget to sign up for the email list, anthonyspark.com/join to hear about new books. And I think that's it for today.
That's it. So make fewer decisions. Hey, subscribe to this channel so you have to make one less fewer decision and just watch, right?
Good one. Good one.
That was corny, but anyway. All right. Thank you, everyone, for listening. Thanks, Janice. We'll talk to you next time.
Talk soon.
Bye, all.